This time around, Final Fantasy XVI, exclusively for the PlayStation 5. Final Fantasy XVI revolves around the character Clive Rossfield, dominated by crystals and dominants who have, when it comes to the latter, seemingly has a connection to the Eikonics, which are essentially the summons in the game, like the Ifrits, the Shivas, the Phoenixes that we see throughout the Final Fantasy universe. We're introduced to Clive at the beginning of the game, a much older version of himself, before flashing back and seeing what he really was before the fall of his kingdom. And one of the main reasons for the fall of his kingdom was trying to protect his brother Joshua, who apparently has a very deep connection to the iconic Phoenix. One of the main reasons for Clive's kingdom to exist is to protect his brother and the dominance that exists in it. Now, as expected, in comparison to the demo, we have, of course, a more fleshed out world, a more fleshed out narrative, and more importantly, more fleshed out characters. I thoroughly enjoyed the way they presented a majority of the characters, especially Sid, who I think is one of the best versions of Sid we've seen in any Final Fantasy. He's in a lot of ways a mix of Balthier and Bosch from Final Fantasy XII, that very blunt and straightforwardness, but also a light bit of humor that is attached to his character. I also love Clive, and from what I played thus far, the fact that he isn't rooted in the stereotypical protagonist that we've seen, the kind of happy-go-lucky, or even the brooding character that we've seen just for no reason whatsoever. We understand why he is in pain. We understand why he feels the way he does about himself. And in a lot of ways, it's very relatable, especially when it comes to the other characters. I don't want to spoil too much, but you see this level of PTSD that is connected to these characters, this trauma that is connected to these characters, and they vocalize it very well. It's not overly dramatic. This gameplay is a great mix of the floaty kind of whimsical Final Fantasy XV combat and the more steadfast, parry-heavy, especially with one particular iconic set, Team Ninja version of Stranger of Paradise from last year. With the triangle button, you're able to shoot off magic attacks, unlimited MP, so you don't have to worry about that. Of course, the square button allows you to perform melee attacks. You have a jump button with the X button. And the circle button has a specific special ability that is tied to whatever iconic is currently being utilized. So for example, if you're utilizing the Phoenix iconic, you're able to pull off a kind of a teleport dash with the circle button. Now, even though you have unlimited MP, you have the ability to utilize these specific abilities with the iconics unlimited times, there are some cooldown factors, so you can't become this all-powerful beast. And that is the special abilities that are triggered by the R2 button. If you hold down the R2, you can utilize the melee strike to pull off a special attack or a magic attack that run on a cooldown meter, so you cannot utilize them over and over again. And a lot of the times these are best used either when, specifically with the Phoenix for example, utilizing a whirlwind attack that is able to disperse a bunch of enemies at one time, or a knockdown with the Titan version of that magic special ability. But these special attacks are really great when it comes to breaking and staggering enemies, because of course the big bosses, the main enemies that you have to face, will have a stagger meter or a will to fight meter underneath their health bar. And if you can get that down, it will stagger them and leave them wide open for a blistering amount of attacks. This also ties into the fact that you have a limit break gauge that fills up as you get damaged. So if you actually activate the limit break and then do the special attacks, fantastic damage. A complaint I had about the demo was the fact that I felt like the game was too easy. And I didn't really know about the accessories that you're gifted immediately. You actually have these accessories that are equipped to help Clive automatically dodge, pull off auto assist combos, and even heal automatically when he gets to a particular threshold. You can remove these, and it makes the gameplay a lot more satisfying. Though it's still not the hardest thing in the world. I have yet to see the game over screen. I have yet to die. And it's not like I haven't had those moments where I've come close, but I just cannot die in this game. One thing that I was slightly disappointed with the demo, and I kind of hoped that it would be better, was the Iconics battle, the big battles between the summons that you can control. The ones that I have actually participated in thus far haven't been that overwhelmingly spectacular. They look great, but in terms of just the actual gameplay, it's very rudimentary, very on the rails, and at times it's just a quick time event. Once again, I hope that as the game progresses, it opens up and gets wider and more grandiose, especially when it comes from gameplay. But right now, it doesn't feel that fantastic when it comes to the big battles that I was hoping to really get this first-hand experience with. While the battle system and the characterization is definitely there, especially when it comes to the main protagonists and the main NPCs, I will say that the side quests thus far are some of the most underwhelming and rudimentary side quests I've ever seen in a video game. A majority of them are, as per the norms, fetch quests. These are the most elementary fetch quests you can imagine. One of the first ones involves you going to the tavern and helping the bartender serve 3 people, and that's it. Literally, you get the items, give it to 3 people, and that's it. And it's not like it gets that much better from what I've seen thus far. A majority of the side quests are literally go here, deliver this, and come back. And the other ones are go here, beat up some monsters that you probably have beaten 50 times over on your way to that side quest. And beat about 3 of those, go back, talk to the person, and it's over. I thought Final Fantasy XV side quests were underwhelming. This actually is even worse. And definitely the most negative aspect to me about this game. I haven't had any technical issues. I haven't had any game-breaking bugs, crashes, weird animations, graphical glitches. I may have a few frame rate drops here and there, but nothing significant that feels like the game is unpolished and broken. One of the biggest complaints I had during the demo was the darkness of certain areas. Depending on when you play a certain section of the game, it doesn't really fix itself. It's still a very, very dark game at night. But a majority of the time what I played thus far is very bright, very luminescent, and I haven't had really that issue of playing through these sections where it's almost unbearably dark. I have to say kudos to the sound design, be it the music or the voice acting. Very good, very well mixed, very well presented, and some of the best I've heard from a Final Fantasy game probably since 12. Overall, Final Fantasy XVI definitely lives up in a lot of ways, not every way, to what was expected of it. Is it my game of the year thus far? Is it this game that's going to restore the fandom to another level when it comes to Final Fantasy games? I don't know right now. But what I've played thus far, I've enjoyed a lot of it. But I will say this. If you're not necessarily a fan, if you're on the fence, if you didn't enjoy the demo that much or you thought it was just good, you can wait. It's a game that will be there. It's not like it's a multiplayer experience. It's a single player only. I say if you're kind of on the fence, if you weren't thoroughly excited after playing the demo like I was, wait. Wait for it to go on sale. Wait for a few months and check it out then. But try to do it before October because it seems like that's going to be one of the busiest months in a long time when it comes to gaming. But either way, now or later, I still say this deserves a solid recommendation if you're a fan of action-adventure RPGs or Final Fantasy games in general.